to change gears really quickly and ask you, you're going to Walter Reed tomorrow? What are you having done? How are you feeling?
I'm meeting with the troops, and I'm also going to do a sort of semi-annual physical, which I do. And I think I'm in great shape, but I'll let you know. But I have no difficulty thus far.
Unlike the Biden administration, the Trump administration is utterly open, upfront, transparent about everything that's going on with the president and his health. Joe Biden is now he's at home falling up flights of stairs. Remember him trying to get up the stairs to Air Force One, and he couldn't do it for years, and the news media never noticed. They didn't see it because their heads are wedged so far into one another's dark and remote locations as they do the Washington media conga. Well, happy Friday to you, and welcome back once again. We continue to be reached at 888-630-9625. Huge news on Middle East peace. The President of the United States bringing peace to the war-ravaged region dominated by psychotic, bloodthirsty ghouls of Hamas and other radical Islamic death cultists. And the headline is Hitler brings peace to Israel. Hitler brings peace to Israel is the headline. Now I've got it. That's the Babylon Bee, and the Babylon Bee people are very funny. But now they call him Hitler for 5 years, and then he brings historic peace to the to the Middle East. But the jihadis, they still have to behave like human beings, and that's a pretty heavy lift for them. And when I say pretty heavy lift for them, I mean that it's never been seen before in the history of humankind. So I will remain, what's the turn of phrase? Cautiously optimistic. I try to remain optimistic, but I know where these trogs come from and what they're all about. So I will remain cautiously optimistic. It is my nature to be optimistic as an American, unlike Democrats. And at the same time, because I'm rational, I'm well-informed, I will remain cautiously optimistic because the bad guys are out there. Here, the bad guys are the left. They're friends with the jihadis, of course. They got lots of them. But historic things going on, thanks exclusively to President Trump. And the Democrats, that includes the news media, even when they talk about it, they don't talk about President Trump being the good guy in the story, being responsible for this historic breakthrough. We had Barack Hussein Obama. He was mentored by a communist by the name of Frank Marshall Davis when he was growing up. And then he surrounded himself with communists when he got to the White House, from Van Jones to the CIA director, John Penitentiary Face Brennan, who voted for the Communist Party candidate for president, Gus Hall. And let's see, then we found out James Comey had been a communist, too. He bragged about it in an interview with New York Magazine. But that's all fine when you're a Democrat, not a thing. Now, Barack Obama, he has not been banned from Twitter, from X, has not been banned, never has been banned. President Trump was, because the fascists are against free speech. They don't like free speech. They're against the First Amendment and the Second Amendment. Let's face it, the Bill of Rights to them is an a la carte menu that they'll carve up with swords given to them by Al-Qaeda and Hezbollah and ISIS. But never mind that. President Barack Obama, going on and on as he so often does, in his ridiculous tweet yesterday, after 2 years of unimaginable loss and suffering for Israeli families and the people of Gaza who started this savage war, we should all be encouraged and relieved that an end to the conflict is within sight, that those hostages still being held, the ones that are still alive that they haven't murdered and held onto their bodies, will be reunited with their families, and that vital aid can start reaching those inside Gaza. It's been reaching them the whole time. The entire time the aid has been uninterrupted, except the terrorists interrupting it here and there so they could steal everything using AK-47s. And they're wearing masks. But it turns out Governor Gavin Newsom in California is okay with Hamas wearing masks. He's okay with Antifa wearing masks. He's okay with Democrat rioters everywhere wearing masks. Just not law enforcement, who now are having bounties placed on their heads by gangs of illegal aliens that the Democrats brought into the country. But Barack Obama continues. and that vital aid can start reaching those inside Gaza whose lives have been shattered. They've been shattered because of Hamas. More than that, though, and you notice anything missing here because Barack Obama's going on and on. It now falls on Israelis, sure, and Palestinians. Right, Israelis and Palestinians, with the support of the U.S. and any mention of Donald Trump here, and the entire world community. There is no world community, idiot. To begin, they're the good guys and the bad guys. You're one of the bad guys, Barack Obama. To begin the hard task of rebuilding Gaza. President Trump knows a thing or two about building. Not a Democrat in the world knows how to put a brick on top of another brick, apparently. And to commit to a process that, by recognizing the common humanity, you're going to have to show that to me, Barack, and basic rights of both peoples, they're peoples. That is one people, two people. And the plural is peoples. They like peoples, just like that. It's like Sesame Street. Can achieve a lasting peace. Well, only if the troglodytes stop murdering and release the hostages, including the ones they've already raped and murdered. But never mind that. Man. And I got to tell you, the no mention of President Trump in there is perfectly typical of the news media and the left, because it's a great big circle fest in a hot tub. Wah, wah, wah. Isn't it amazing? Yes, sir. Yes. Who is it? Jackie Che on Twitter. A woman, Jackie Che. She wrote, feels weird for an American president to celebrate a peace deal that another American president helped negotiate without mentioning him at all. Didn't mention Trump at all. His name didn't come up because the Democrat Party, the mayor of Chicago is talking about how the Republicans want a rematch of the Civil War. It seems to me that the Democrats are the ones shooting everybody and throwing violent mobs into the streets to attack in an insurrectionist way federal law enforcement, rebelling against the established government, which is what an insurrection is. But never mind that. So we have that going. And this morning we woke up to discover, and I was all ready for it, 5 a.m. Eastern Time, the Nobel people announced the winner of the Nobel Prize, and it is the late Che Guevara. The late Che Guevara wins the Nobel Peace Prize this year. And I just made that up. They didn't really give it to the late Che Guevara, but they did give it to some woman in Venezuela named Maria Corina Machado. And everybody knows her. We've all been eagerly awaiting the news that she had won the Nobel Peace Prize, except nobody knows who the hell she is. Nobel Peace Prize goes to Maria Corina Machado, despite calls for Trump to win, is the Fox News headline. And from, who's this? The Wall Street Journal. Nobel Peace Prize awarded to Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado. She's done such amazing work that I've never heard of her. Maybe I've seen her name mentioned in passing in an article a year ago or something, but that's about it. The accolade is awarded for her work promoting democracy and fighting dictatorship in the country of Venezuela. The Democrats are trying to wave every Venezuelan gang member into the United States so they can be marauding around your kids' schools because, they're Democrats and they're on the side of anarchy and violence. But that's it. So the Venezuelan opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for her decades-long crusade, not doing a very good job, to promote democracy and fight dictatorship in the country. That country is Venezuela, of course. And that's as exciting as it gets with the Nobel Peace Prize. I predicted yesterday that President Trump would not receive the Nobel Peace Prize, not this year. And the Nobel Peace Prize is increasingly a left-wing political joke, along with so many other, kind of like the Emmy Award for Best Comedian on television. That's a tough one, isn't it? That's tougher than the Nobel Peace Prize. So you got that going. And the Democrat, the crooked New York State Attorney General Letitia James, having been criminally charged. And the media, I got to tell you, I watched a lot. I was flipping around last night, MSDNC, CNN, and they were just railing on and on and on about how this should have been a good news day for President Trump with the peace deal in the Middle East. But instead, he made it all about Letitia James. Well, actually, he didn't, but a grand jury did decide to charge, in Virginia, Letitia James with lying on federal forms and on, to get low interest rates for a property she bought in Virginia that was apparently a rental, or is apparently a rental property. And she claimed that that was her primary residence so that she could pay lower taxes and that she could, it's a tax fraud, so that she could get lower interest rates. And it turns out Democrats do that all over the place. They love doing that. And all of them are like, who was it on MSDNC last night? On CNN, one of the anchors saying everybody does that. Everybody claims they live in another state to get better interest rates and to get, it's just amazing stuff. These Democrats, they think everybody's a criminal just like they are, that everybody's got bloodlust in their heart, just like them, like the man running for attorney general in the Commonwealth of Virginia, put 2 bullets in the head. Let Hitler live, let Pol Pot live, but shoot the Republican in the head twice. And that's no big deal in the news media. Have you noticed this? They're not. That was a non-story, kind of like Congressman Steve Scalise being shot in that baseball field. One-day story, but we got that going for us. Aren't they amazing? Yes, sir. I am telling you, the Letitia James. What do you hear this stuff? And she's the victim in all of this. Never mind the fact, and it's, this is an abuse of power. This is revenge. And then who we have, the Democrat leader in the House of Representatives, Hakeem the Jihadi Jeffries. Yesterday saying, oh, yeah, you guys think you're getting away with something? Next time we take over, we're going to target all you guys. It's like, see, what goes around comes around. And what they miss is what goes around comes around. This is the comes around part, because you guys, over the last 4 years, the Democrats targeted dozens and dozens of Republicans for arrest, putting them in leg shackles and for saying, hey, give me a call, I'll come down visit you. And I live a couple of blocks from the FBI, and I can come down visit you anytime. Instead, they ambushed him at an airport, put him in leg shackles, right, because Peter Navarro was such a dangerous criminal. They checked him out, discovered he had never owned a firearm in his life. And he said, listen, if you need to talk, I'm within walking distance of FBI headquarters. I can just walk over anytime. Give me a call. They said, okay. And then instead they hacked all of his computers, started tracking him, and arrested him using handcuffs and leg shackles at the Reagan Airport when he was just going off. They knew that he was leaving, and then they ambushed him because they're fascists, you see. And dozens and dozens, scores and scores of Republicans close to President Trump were arrested. And then there are all these public reports about how the Democrats had committed crimes, like the chief law enforcement officer in the state of New York who targeted President Trump for political reasons. And then when she's arrested for committing various forms of fraud, then, oh, yeah, we'll get revenge on you. They are the third world. They are the third world. They're tree dwellers. They're cliff dwellers, really close to being pit and cave dwellers. They're the left. They're quite amazing. Yes, they are. So we've got that, but she's been charged. She is the bad guy, but they're promising revenge because they're not liberals. They're the left. It's just bank fraud and false statements to a financial institution, lying to them about her primary residence, and, their tax issues. There's the lie to the bank. And this is the lady that prosecuted for purely political reasons President Trump. Remember lying about the value of Mar-a-Lago and saying it was worth as much as a Toyota Celica, when really the estate is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And the judge said it was worth maybe $19 million, which is what you pay for a parking space at Mar-a-Lago. But never mind that. Aren't they amazing? We've got Virginia politics, an update on the Super Bowl halftime show. People fleeing New York City already. Just ask the real estate agents in Westchester County. New Jersey, they've got a big race going on there, too. And on, the Democrat madness. So President Trump, peace in the Middle East. Democrats promising to get revenge because they're like communists in Venezuela. Should give the Nobel Peace Prize to Maybe you should give it to the American version of Maria Corina Machado. We're at 888-630-9625.
Financial frauds are not victimless crimes.
All right, we can go to the telephones. It's Friday here in Washington, D.C. What day is it where you live? Not a lot of wackadoodle stories for you today. Let us go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Rick calling from Wilmington, North Carolina. Ricardo, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning. I heard that Maria Machado won the Nobel Peace Prize, and the lefties were going, Trump didn't win. And I said, well, who's this lady? So I looked her Wikipedia page up and said that she was the opposition leader in Venezuela. And I was thinking, well, in opposition to what? So opposition to Maduro would be against the commie, right? So then I was thinking opposition, that's kind of vague. So I went to the party that she started, Vente Venezuela, which I guess means still Venezuela. And the party is, it says on that Wikipedia page that she's right wing. So she's a conservative right wing opposition leader in Venezuela. So it's actually a victory for the conservatives that she won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Well, that's true enough, but in the context of Venezuela, they call her a right wing as an insult, right winger as an insult. Of course, they say a Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado is widely considered a right wing or center right politician, often described as a classical liberal or conservative. Her political positions and affiliations align with these labels, they say. But listen to this. Machado is a strong advocate for privatizing state-run industries, including the National Oil Company, PDVSA. Now, the thing is, Hugo Chavez nationalized the communist that he was, and the New York Times called him a friendly socialist, and they liked him. They want to give him a back massage. And they, just starting in about 2006, 2007 in Venezuela, stealing all of the oil industries that had built infrastructure in Venezuela. They nationalized it all like the communists that they are. Fascists would have let the oil companies operate and grow the economy and create jobs and stuff. But I got to, Rick, the bar is set so low. She wants to, bring back popular capitalism. I know what you're saying, Rick, but I think we're setting the bar pretty low because it's Venezuela, right?
Anything, well, it's not really far right, but anything next to a commie is, to the right.
That's exactly right. She should run for mayor of New York. Now, Zohran Mamdani is a commie. He is running, and a jihadi, and he's running for mayor of New York. He's the Democrat Party's nominee. And he's way ahead in the polls because, I've been saying for years, when it comes to the media fluffing you and so on, it's good to be a Democrat. Now, it might need a little updating, that saying. It's good to be a commie. MSDNC, the MS-13 network, on Morning Joke, had Zohran Mamdani on this morning, and the only question was, are they taking him on one at a time, or are they all going on top of him at once? And it's a little bit all at once. The tongue bath that the Democrats are giving him at MS-13 DNC, Zohran Mamdani. And I've got a story today because the real estate people in Westchester County, the nice suburbs just north of the city of New York, are saying, oh, yeah, people are fleeing the city of New York, coming to Westchester County, looking for nice homes, looking to get out of there while they can and while their real estate values are still okay. But they're fleeing. I want to get into that a little bit later. All right, let's go to the telephones. Let's go back to the telephones, Mike, because there are other big stories going on. And I know that Marco is on to one of the big stories that came out of the White House yesterday. Let's go to Marco calling from Springfield, Virginia. Marco, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Chris. Thanks for taking my call.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, I want to be the first one to wish you a very happy Columbus Day.
Columbus
good to be
Day.
back.
Columbus Day
Columbus Day.
It's Monday, right? It's officially we're celebrating Christopher Columbus, who discovered America.
Right, yeah, I know it's an early Columbus Day, but nonetheless, it's back. I also want to comment on the debates. I thought Winsome Sears was fantastic last night, exposing Spamberger for the fraud that she is. Those commentators, those are would give her Spamberger 30 seconds to talk. Those are the longest 30 seconds I've ever experienced. Mm-hmm. And no rebuttal time for Winsome Sears. I thought they were two incompetent fools and obviously leaning a certain way. But what is it? Oh, yeah, Spamberger. As far as energy companies are concerned in Virginia, she wants them to pay their fair share. Who's been saying that? Oh, yeah, Bernie the commie, Kakala, and the rest of those Democrat clowns. So come on, people in Virginia, wake up. And Jay Jones, how do you defend a person like that in any category?
Well, she didn't, right? She just didn't answer the question, right?
Exactly.
Scamberger.
Yes and no questions or yes and no questions. I don't understand why commentators let people like that get away with talking in circles. Like
sure you do.
You never answered. Yeah. Well, I do, but it's sad that has to happen that way. But did you watch the debates? Because I thought Winston Sears was fantastic.
I've got to say I didn't see the whole thing. I saw portions of it, and then I saw news media coverage of it, and I actually, as I said, I was watching CNN and MS-13 last night, and they're of course racists that they are. They're attacking Winsome Sears, a woman of color, an immigrant to the United States, and naturally, they go with the white woman with her Ivy League, blah, blah, blah. And they love liars. The news media, of course, they love liars. I mean, they're liars themselves. So it's a birds of a feather thing, isn't it, Marco? And Marco.
One more thing, though.
Tu Italiano. You're Italian.
Yeah, and I'm proud of my Italian heritage, but you know what? I don't put that in front of being American. I can do dual citizenship. I choose not to. I've said it before, and you've heard me say it. I'm proud to be an American of Italian origin, but I am an American. So this dual citizenship stuff for me, it's off the wall. One more thing about Spamberger and her commercials. She talks about Winsome Sears and how she will lower taxes and vote in line with Donald Trump. And I was like, well, that's about as good a commercial for Winsome Sears as I could possibly think of. So, the Democrats, I'm sorry, it's just missing upstairs. It really is.
It really is. They're a loony bin. And Marco, also a career in the United States Army, the American Army.
Correct. Yeah, the American Army, exactly. Hey, I've got an Italian flag that I'm going to fly, and I've got a T-shirt that says "Make America Italian Again." I might wear it on Monday just for the heck of it.
Columbus Day. The great Christopher Columbus. They vilified and demonized. They're angry with history, anything American. They're against, and honestly, it's whatever it is. I'm against it. Played it yesterday, Groucho Marx, and they're just not on our side, are they, Marco?
No, they're not. But, they want to demonize Columbus. But what about Balboa, Cortez, Magellan? I mean, all those explorers were pretty ruthless in their conquests. I mean, that's called history. Like it or not, it's history.
Well, and maybe they were bent out of shape because when they got here, they discovered that the Native Americans had an active slave trade going all over the country. Mm-hmm. And it really stressed out the Italians, and of course, Marco, Italian history, and so the word slave, where the word slave comes from, right, as from the Roman Empire, mm-hmm. the Roman Empire mm-hmm. using the Slavic people as forced labor and enslaving the Eastern Europeans primarily, going across the sea, and the Romans gathering up European slaves from the Slavic lands. And that is the origin of the word slave. Mm-hmm. But that's mm-hmm. not where it started or anything. The Nubian people and their slavery of enslaving the Jews thousands of years ago, and the Jews escaping to Israel. And now the Democrats apparently want them back in slavery in Nubia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One funny thing I've been reading that a book, The Enemy Within. And there's a thing in there about the Wasserman test. Are you familiar with that?
The Wasserman
We're all
test.
in the same Wasserman test. Back in, Marianne and I got married back in '75, and we had to take a Wasserman test. And that was a test to determine. And the only reason why it rings the bell is like Debbie Wasserman Schnitz.
Yes.
That was her name, I guess, before she got married. Well, the Wasserman test was a test given to people who were planning to get married to make sure they didn't have syphilis, because syphilis was a real problem back in the 60s and 70s. So the Wasserman test, and now the Wasserman test is applied to politics as far as I'm concerned, because obviously syphilis doesn't affect the brain. And, it's an interesting thing. Look it up, Wasserman test.
Well, you think maybe Debbie Wasserman Schnitz had something to do with that. And today it's monkeypox. The Democrats are spreading monkeypox far and wide because of their behavioral patterns, I think, is the generous thing to say.
Yeah. Exactly. And this shutdown, I'm sorry, America, wake up. It's a Schumer shutdown. The Democrats could easily end it. The only thing we need to do is come back to some common sense, stop giving freebies to people who shouldn't be here, and we won't have a problem with the economy. We won't have a problem with employment. We won't have a problem with crime. But, I'm the son of immigrants that came over here legally. They were discriminated against, never had a grudge, did okay, learned the language because that was priority number one. Mm-hmm. You don't speak the language, you don't get ahead in this country. Now we have to compromise. It's insane.
Well, and that reminds me that Barack Obama admonished us all to learn to speak Spanish because they had a plan to open up our southern border and flood the country with tens of millions of illegal alien gang members, human traffickers, drug traffickers. Their hero, Abrego Garcia, Kilmore Abrego Garcia, he's a human trafficker, a wife beater, a baby mama beater, and a hero of the Democrat Party. Aren't they amazing? And since you brought it up, and it's important, I'm glad you brought it up, the last night, funding bills, plural, to end government shutdown fail in Senate vote for seventh time. And it failed for a seventh time, as it did for the first six times, 100% because the Democrat Party opposed it, voted against it. They want the government shut down because they know that NBC and ABC and the Washington Post are going to lie for them and blame the Republicans for the Democrat Party's government shutdown, the Schumer shutdown. And that's what propaganda dominance is about, information dominance is about. The left has secured information dominance in the media and on late-night TV and on weekend TV, and George Stephanopoulos to Chunk Todd, the list goes on and on. But funding bill to end government shutdown fails in Senate vote for seventh time. And, Marco, every one of those 7 votes were the Democrats voted against opening the government, first against keeping the government open. Then the shutdown came because the Democrats and the way they voted. And now they continue to vote against opening the government. And soon, I guess next week, we're going to see military not getting paychecks and other government employees not getting paychecks. The Democrats shut down the government. The Democrats are playing this for political reasons and fiscal reasons, of course. And they want $1 trillion or $1.5 trillion to bail out Obamacare again because, as the Washington Post said, turns out the Affordable Care Act was never affordable.
Yep. And how many times were we warned about that when the charlatan who ran for president? That's another thing I want to talk about. I thought he and Big Mike were going to go back to Chicago and make sure that those people didn't go back to their lives as normal. I thought they were going to save those people. It's like the only thing they're saving is their billions of dollars that they made by fooling the American public. That guy was a joke, a charlatan, and they still love him. So you know what, people? You got what you deserved. Unfortunately, all of us wind up suffering, just like in New York with Mad Danny. It's like, you want a communist as your mayor? Just wait, okay? Yep. You think he's going to make things better? I mean, granted, his competition isn't anything to talk about, but nonetheless, you want a commie instead? It's pretty insane. So, sorry, people in New York and Connecticut and the whole Northeast, wake up.
Yep. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Always a good idea to wake up, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Senate.
And go ahead.
The Senate voted again against the Republican resolution the Democrats did, to reopen the government, to end the government shutdown. The seventh time that the Senate voted on the measure, as lawmakers remain far apart on negotiations because the Democrats have a gun to everybody's head with the hammer pulled back, and they want $1 trillion to just do something that they did 13 times, these continuing resolutions, during the 4 years of the Biden administration, and Biden had no idea what was going on. And Biden didn't bring peace to the Middle East, and Biden didn't deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. And Biden was president when the war broke out, when Russia invaded Ukraine. Of course, Russia invaded Crimea in southern Ukraine when Barack Obama was in the White House, then invaded the rest of Ukraine when Joe Biden was in the White House. President Trump now has to, and he's already talking about it yesterday after cobbling together the peace deal with the troglodytes from hell, known as Hamas. Now he's already talking about turning his attentions to, and there are a number of steps yet to be accomplished with the troglodytes of Hamas and so on. But now he's already talking about turning his attentions to Ukraine and Russia, and Joe Biden is still choosing his favorite ice cream.
Yeah. Well, I thought that Putin was invading Korea. Isn't that what Obscene Maxine said? Just want to talk about stupid and somebody that should be out of office, but she keeps getting reelected. Was she 84 or whatever? Pelosi 88, Bernie the commie 80, whatever. Eleanor Holmes Norton. It's like, why don't you people give it up? I mean, do you love money and power that much that you can't? I mean, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that people actually vote for people like that.
Yes, it is.
Informed, get informed, because you know what? Your country and your fellow American is depending on that. But, people are too busy, doing whatever they do. So kind of sad commentary on the voter base. It's not the politicians. Well, it is the politicians, but who puts them there?
Yeah, Democrats. This is why the Democrats held out public education, to raise generations of people that would be dumb enough to vote for them.
Yeah. Remember a call a while ago, I told you about the 3 significant events in American history. Al Sharpton, when he was a big jumbo package that played that Tawana Brawley crap. If they had put him in jail like he deserved to be, he wouldn't be a multimillionaire racist pig on MSLSD. Ted Kennedy and Chappaquiddick, instead of being the lion of the Senate, he would have been in jail and treated like anybody else who would have done that. And the third one was, let's see, I think that was Carter getting elected. But nonetheless, if you look back on those things, just enforce the law and expose the truth for the truth, and then we won't have the problems that we have now. But
I've always believed the truth goes a long way.
Yes, yeah, and sooner or later the truth comes out. So, sometimes too late.
Yeah, very, very slowly around here, Washington, D.C. Years and years go by, and then a document drops from the FBI or from the CIA about how the CIA covered up what Ukraine was saying about Joe Biden's family corruption, siphoning millions out of Ukraine. And President Trump was right in making a phone call, but he was impeached for making a phone call on the Biden family corruption in Ukraine. And then turns out the CIA and the FBI had documents proving that Trump was right all along. Never emerged, never surfaced during the impeachment. And Marco, thank you for a great call. And you're right, Maxine Waters said, and the fact that he's wrapping his arms around Putin, talking about Trump, while Putin is continuing to advance into Korea. That's right, Maxine Waters said Putin was invading Korea. And she's reelected reliably every 2 years because Democrats, I'm not sure they should be allowed the right to vote anymore. Thank you, Marco, and very happy Columbus Day coming up on Monday. Take the day off. It's Columbus Day.
He is wrapping his arms around Putin while Putin is continuing to advance into Korea.
We just had one of our wise listeners just called in. Another reason for Schumer and the Democrats to keep the government shut down is yesterday Hillary Clinton had been scheduled to testify before the House Oversight Committee, and now the government's closed thanks to Schumer, so Hillary did not testify yesterday. No videotape, no audio for you to play of Hillary Clinton getting away with murder once again, and the Democrats doing what they do. But the Democrats shut the government down again. The Democrats talking a little bit about Middle East peace, but they don't want to talk about it because they don't want to have to mention Trump's name in a positive light. I've got audio that I want to share with you about the corrupt media and the Democrats, but I repeat myself, coming up. Now, let's go back to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Dale calling from Orange, Virginia, where they have skydiving. They have skydiving in Orange. Dale, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Morning, Chris.
Hey, Dale.
Hey, I think it's time for the Senator Thune to go to a good old-fashioned filibuster and just gavel in the ceremony on Monday and keep it open for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and let the Democrats talk and talk and talk and see how long they can sustain it. You know, once a day, hold a cloture vote, and if they don't get it, just turn the floor back over to them and let them talk.
But only overnight.
I'd let them do it all day long, all night long. You know, when somebody's up there, you know, jabbering away at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's going to be hard for the news media to continue to say that it's the Republicans obstructing. And, you know, if we keep rolling the tape, eventually they'll say stupid things that we can use against them in upcoming elections.
Well, the media will, of course, make the Republicans the bad guy, no matter what, right?
Well, yeah, but again, it'll be hard to make that claim when the only people that are talking are the Republicans or the Democrats.
Yeah. Yeah, and I got to tell you, if there is some way to maneuver this vote so that it would only require 50 votes, which the Republicans could pass today, and not 60 votes, which the Democrats can obstruct every day, and they've been doing. What are we, in the 9th day or the 10th day? And the Democrats have voted 7 times now to keep the government closed. And the news media is pretending that there's something else going on here altogether. That's coming right up. Thanks, Dale.